your instructor for this webinar, and I've been working with InfosecTrain for the last few months, and I have total 14 years of experience in IT, focusing on cloud computing, Linux, open source, security, those kind of things. And I am currently a trainer for this AWS security specialty and the architect side. So we'll start now. So this is the agenda for today. We'll have a discussion about what is cloud computing, the advantages, the drawbacks of cloud computing, and what are the types of cloud service models, what are the type of cloud deployment models, and we'll focus on the AWS part, like some services and how they are offered by AWS and the advantages and why do you choose AWS, those kind of things. And if you have any doubts in between or if you have any suggestions, just unmute and ask, or you can put it in the chat box. Okay, thank you. So first of all, we'll start with the introduction to cloud computing. This is a generic topic. We're not focusing on AWS. This is a generic word. What is cloud computing? So when we say the word cloud computing, this I know, like, when people actually for the last few years you're hearing this word called as cloud computing, and most people want to move to this platform, and most people have the doubt, what is exactly cloud computing? What are the features, or why companies are moving to cloud, or what is advantage, or do we have to be careful of anything when we move to cloud? These kind of things are always a concern. Okay, so cloud computing in the sense means, see, basically in this particular word cloud computing, we have two words, right? One word is called as cloud and the other word is called as computing. So we have two words here. The first one is cloud and the second one is computing. So what is the word called as cloud team? What is cloud team? Anything which we access via internet is called as cloud. Okay, anything which we access via internet. For example, if I say you're accessing your websites, you're accessing your files, your pen drive, your other storage, anything which you access via internet can be said as cloud. For example, you can say that your storage, it can be anything. It can be a storage, it can be anything. So cloud is anything which we access via internet. And what is computing team? And what is computing? So computing means, so when I talk about this computing, we will say, okay, we have different things, right? For a system, we have the servers, we have the network, we have the storage, we have the lot of things like that, right? So compute means it includes your memory capacity, your network capacity, your storage capacity, those kind of things, right? So combining these two words, cloud and computing, providing the computing capacity over the internet with the help of different service providers or by yourself is what you call as cloud computing. Okay, anything which we access via internet and which provides the servers, storage, applications, etc. is what you call as cloud computing. Is it clear? Okay. And one more thing is there. See, why people want to move to cloud? For example, if I say it is always better to build a data center, right? If you want, you can always build a data center. Then why people want to move to cloud? That's the first factor which we have to consider. Okay. So tell me, team, what are the factors which we have to consider if you are building a data center on premises? For example, your company is planning to build a data center on premises. What are the factors they have to consider? Anyone? Can I just unmute and ask or type in chat box? What are the factors which have to be considered when you're actually setting up a data center on premises? Anyone? Anyone, team? Security, perfect. You have to consider security then. So you're responsible for the physical security, you're responsible for the network security, you're responsible for the hardware, everything, right? Okay. Then you must have a huge space, right? You must have a huge space to deploy all these things. Yeah, you must consider the business continuity, and because of that, you have to deploy servers, you have to deploy the backup servers, the storage, the network. You have to consider a lot of factors: the power consumption, the air conditioning, ventilation, everything you have to consider. Yeah, cost. So basically, when you're building anything on your premises, there is a huge capital expense. the huge capital expense will always be there, right? So what happens is, if you have a huge capital expense, and for example, if I say I'm building, currently I have deployed a data center and servers which suits my current requirements. After some 2 years, my company is growing very fast, and I have to update, or I have to replace the servers with a new version and all. Okay, I have to update and replace the servers with new version. So basically, it can give me a lot of cost, right? The cost is very high. The maintenance cost is very high. Also, you have to be worried about the human resource. You have to deploy a lot of people for that. And one more critical thing is there. For example, if I say your data center can meet the requirement up to an extent, right? For example, if you're building a data center, on premises, it can always meet your requirements up to an extent, right? But still, suddenly if you have any requirement spikes, or if you want to have any more requirements, you cannot scale it, right? There is no way you can actually extend it temporarily. It can be too complicated, right? So cloud provides you the solutions for all this. That means that moving all your things like the server, storage, and everything to a platform which you don't have to set up from the scratch is what you call as cloud computing. For example, if I say, if I want to deploy an application on cloud, okay, if I want to deploy an application on cloud, the advantage is you don't have to worry about the underlying hardware. You don't have to worry about the underlying hardware, or you don't have to worry about the initial expense and all. Why? Because everything is already set up by a cloud provider. Okay. So basically, this cloud computing services started by 2006. Then this Amazon came into market, and now almost all the companies are willing to move to cloud platform. So we'll actually check what are the factors which you have to consider when we move to cloud. These are the advantages. These are the advantages which you can have when you move to cloud platform. The first one is, as I told you, you don't have to deploy anything, right? For example, as I told you don't have to deploy anything from the data centers or servers or storage. You don't have to deploy anything. Everything is there on the cloud provider's premises. You can just simply consume it. That's the best part. Okay. That is why there is no capital expense. As you don't have to set up an infrastructure or pay an initial cost, there is nothing called as a capital expense. That is what we call as CapEx. And the only thing you have is the operating expense. What is operating expense? So when I say operating expense, the running cost, right? See, even if you build a data center on premises, the problem which you can infer is you will be having a running cost, right? So for every month, you have to pay the salary of the employees, you have to manage the power supply, you have to manage the other, like, other things like the cost of the servers, the air conditioning and those kind of things, and you have to purchase applications, licenses, a lot of things are there, right? Here also, when you are moving to cloud, you have some operating expense, but it will be very less than the normal operating expense. So basically, when we say cloud computing, it can be a conversion of your capital expense to the operating expense, like the running cost. For example, if I say I want to travel maybe some every day or something, and I don't want to maintain a car, I can just rent a car, right? Likewise, I don't have to have any kind of capital expense. That's the first advantage. And the next advantage which we have on this cloud computing is what we call as a scalability. So team, this word is very important. The scalability is the critical advantage of cloud computing, scalability. So let me give you a demonstration of it. I'll just have you show you a picture of it. What is scalability? Give me a second. Yeah. So assume that you're working a shopping site or any kind of site. For example, if I say I'm using a shopping site called as ebay.com. Okay. So what happens is, basically, when you call a website like ebay.com, the request is actually forwarded to something called as a load balancer. Okay, something called as a load balancer. And in the background of the load balancer, you have multiple servers. Okay, you have multiple servers, and these servers are basically handling the load. Is it clear? But at the same time, assume that suddenly they have some sale happening in this website, and the traffic can be very high. So to manage this particular traffic, to manage the particular spike in traffic they have when they have some kind of sale or something, they have to temporarily add new servers, right? Or they have to, add more, reserve more capacity. They have to manage more. Still, it may not be worth it. For example, if I say they have expected some 500 people per minute, okay, they have expected some 500 people per minute, and what came in real time is actually 1,000 people. So definitely, this particular additions you do will not be able to handle the load, right? At the same time, if you are moving to cloud, the advantage is you have a feature called as scalability. So scalability means the infrastructure you have here, will automatically increase. The infra will automatically increase as per your requirements, and it will actually shrink or go back to normal when your requirement ceases. Scalability is the ability of any IT resource to be flexible with the changing capacity. Is it clear? So scalability basically means, for example, now in this case you can see that you have a website called as eb.com. When the request is coming and the number of requests is increasing, the servers can add up to 1, 2, 3, 4. Likewise, they can add to multiple servers as per the requirements. And when the requirement ceases, it can shrink back to normal. That's what we call as scalability. Is it clear? So any doubts till now? Anything till now? Scalability? Any doubts? If you have any doubts, please unmute and ask, or we can put it in chat box. Any doubts, team? Anything? Scalability is clear? Clear, team? Yeah, fine. Okay. So the next factor is software and hardware refresh cycles. What is the software and hardware refresh cycles? That means that, say, in your company can give you laptops, the company will deploy servers, the company is having a lot of network devices, a lot of things like that, right? So these devices or the software using, there is a word called as end of life. I think you heard of it, end of life, EOL. So for example, if I say one laptop you can use for the next 3 years or 5 years, that's a company policy. So after that exact 3 years, even if your laptop is working or not, you have to replace your laptop. Why? Because that is the EOL period, right? The end of life period. So in the case of servers as well, in the case of network device as well, you have an end of life when you're considering the case of servers and all. But still, in the case when you move to cloud, the advantage is the provider is actually responsible for handling the software and hardware refresh cycle. That means that you don't have to worry about the underlying hardware, or you don't have to worry about the underlying softwares. Everything is actually handled by the cloud provider according to the type of service used. For example, if I say currently I am running a server in a particular hardware in the cloud provider, and maybe after some 2 years or 3 years, the cloud provider may change the hardware. But also you don't have to worry about it, and you don't have to be concerned about. Why? Because it is completely managed by the provider. Is it clear? And yeah, OS patching. That's a question, Anand. So OS patching in the sense means it's according to the model which we define if it is done by the provider or not. For example, in cloud we have different types, like we can say it as IaaS platform, PaaS platform, and SaaS platform. So according to the model we define who is doing this patching. I'll just show you that in a few minutes. Okay. Okay. So the next factor is compliance means. See, compliance means you have to follow a lot of factors. For example, if I say if you want to deploy a data center which is accepted by the company and the customers, you have to follow a lot of compliance regulations and standards like the SOX 1, 2, 3, HIPAA, etc. So PCI DSS, those kind of things. All these, when you move to cloud, it is the responsibility of the cloud provider to comply with all these kind of things. Because you don't have to worry. For example, the only thing is you don't have to set up a data center, and you don't have to actually manage those compliance certifications, audits and all. Why? Because everything is in the cloud provider. They will actually manage it. Okay, that's what we call as compliance needs. And definitely one more thing is there. You're actually, for example, you're moving to cloud, and almost all the activities are automated, so you can have less human resource. I'll tell you why we have less human resource. I'll give an example. See, assume the case of a database. Okay. So what is the role of a DBA? DBA stands for Database Administrator, right? So it is one of the most important roles in a company, right? Like he is responsible for managing the database, backup the database, replication, failover, continuity, and this particular, DBA is actually responsible for a lot of activities. So in a company, you must have multiple DBA roles, and all these people must be working in a team to make the database secure and scalable. But at the same time, when you are moving to cloud, almost all the roles of a DBA, including the backup, replication, failover, everything, almost all the roles of a database administrator can be automated, and we have some specialized managed services for that. So advantage is when you move to cloud, we can, instead of having multiple people as DBAs, we can actually reduce the number of human resources, right? And you don't have much hardware servers to maintain, so you can have less people for that, and you don't have the network requirements and all. Everything is managed by the cloud provider itself. So that also is actually their responsibility. So therefore, you can have very less human resource. Okay. And definitely, when you move to cloud, this, for example, when you move to cloud, don't think that, okay, I am moving to cloud, so all the responsibilities of the cloud provider. No, not of course. There is something called as a shared responsibility model. Okay, there is something called as a shared responsibility. I'll discuss that. Shared responsibility model. Okay, so in the cloud as well, we have this disasters. We can have disasters, but we can see disasters. You cannot prevent. You cannot completely avoid or completely prevent the risk. Why? Because it is already there. It's always there, right? So when you move to cloud, the only thing you can do is you can have a lot of insights, and based on that, you can plan the disaster recovery. That means that, okay, if the server goes down, it must be running from the other data centers or other locations of the cloud provider. Likewise, you can plan the disaster recovery very efficiently than your normal premises. For example, if I say in your company, assume that you have a data center. Okay, currently assume that my company is in Mumbai and I'm having a data center there. Suddenly, if there is any issue in Mumbai, there is any disaster or something in Mumbai, definitely the data center will go down, right? At the same time, if you're in a cloud provider, we can actually provide multiple locations. So even if one location goes down, the business is not affected, and we can actually continue to work back in no time. That's what we call as the insight and disaster recovery. Is it clear? And the last one is a bit controversial, which is actual security. See, when you move to cloud, we have a lot of security factors to consider. That I will explain now. But before that, team, any more things you want to add, or you have doubts in this? Why cloud computing? Any doubts you have in this? Advantages of cloud? Anything, team? Any doubts, team? Anything? Okay. No. That won't be a problem. See, basically, when you move to cloud, the advantage is, as I told you, the cloud provider will take care of all these kind of things. Like the hardware is always the cloud provider's responsibility. Okay. That means that you have a hardware, like you have the servers and storage and all those kind of things. The physical security, the servers and the hardware part of the servers and everything is the responsibility of the cloud provider. It's the plan you have to. See, if you're talking about the private cloud, only if you're talking about the private cloud, and if you're talking about the on-premises private cloud, it is your responsibility. Because you are the cloud provider at that time, right? You are the CSP, you are the customer. Clear, Sarvana? Yeah, that we'll discuss in detail in the coming slides. Okay, that's it. So, and now the last point is very important. Security. See, basically, when I talk about security, basically one rule you have to understand. Okay. See, if your data is with someone else, you are in risk. Whether it can be a cloud provider or any person, if you are giving your data to somebody else, you are in risk. Because there is always a risk that the data can be exposed, right? So how can you trust a cloud provider? You have a lot of cloud providers nowadays. How can you trust a cloud provider? See, basically you cannot trust anybody blindly, right? There's a word called as trust, which can be always like, it is actually controversial. How can you trust a person? So as per your company standards and all, you have to follow a lot of certifications, lot of standards, etc. But still, can you go to the cloud providers premises and verify if they are meeting the standards? Excuse me, I got a message. Yeah, no problem. We'll discuss that, Shivraj. Once I reach the topic, I'll discuss. Okay, no problem. Fine. So basically, the security, the trust factor, which we say, we cannot go to the cloud provider's data center and always verify if they are meeting the complaints, right? So what we can do is, instead of that, we have a lot of standards and certifications and third-party audits, which is actually already done to the cloud provider. These are some examples of the third-party auditing bodies and certification bodies which certify that they meet all the requirements as you said. So because of this, up to an extent, we can believe that the cloud providers won't leak your data or storing your data and all the process they are doing as per the regulatory requirements. Is it clear? All these are actually for Amazon. Okay, these are all Amazon certifications. Okay, this they have, and all these certifications are not completely for a lifetime. They have to undergo the certification process and they have to go through this auditing process every year or 2 years according to the type of standards. Is clear? These are the things. So still, up to an extent, you can trust them. Okay, and definitely the speed of internet can affect your thing, right? And see, for example, if you're using internet, and definitely if you want to access cloud, you must have internet, right? The internet speed can always be a problem, but still, as you know, in our case, the internet speed won't be a factor now. Why? Because the internet speed is actually like, nowadays it's not becoming a problem. Why? Because the internet speed is very much increased and you have connectivity everywhere in the world. Wherever you go, you have an option to get connected. And of course, the cloud providers the internet providers are providing a decent connectivity speed and all. So you don't have to worry about that speed as well. And the next one is, it's actually a subscription based. See, for example, you have subscribed for this much things in the cloud platform, and if your requirement increases, you have to renew your subscription or upgrade your subscription, right? So subscription can always be a concern. And the next is cost. See, cost is actually a very important term you have to consider. When you move to cloud, you have a lot of factors like, the cost, the security, a lot of factors. This cost is one of the most important factors more companies are actually concerned about. I'll tell you why. It's why because when you move to cloud, as I told you, there is no operating expense. Sorry, there is no capital expense. As I told you, there is no capital expense. The only thing you have is the operating expense, and that will be definitely less than when you compare with your on-premises. And finally, we'll talk about the downtime. See, downtime means it can happen, right? See, even in the cloud provider also, the downtime can happen, but the downtime will be very less. The downtime will be very less when compared to any on-premise. For example, if I say in Amazon in the last year they had a 6 minutes downtime. That is the maximum they had in the last 2 years. Okay, and that is for only one data center, one location region. We will say. I'll explain all that. Is it clear? So always understand the downtime can occur in cloud, but still it won't be a factor when you compare with your on-premises thing. And of course, you can address this downtime with the help of a contractual agreement. I'll just discuss all that in detail. Okay, that's it. So now we are going to discuss about the most important factors of this webinar, actually, the cloud service model. See, cloud service model means whether you take Amazon as whether you Meenakshi you can just talk to the team. Actually, I'm not sure about that. I'll talk about the team. Okay, sure. Mostly we'll share the recording. Yeah. So basically, when you talk about the cloud platform, okay, when you talk about the cloud platform, it can be all the providers like Amazon, Azure, Google, Alibaba, or any providers. All the services they provide is actually coming inside any of these three categories. So any service you're taking the cloud platform from the Azure or Amazon or any cloud provider, it will be from any one of these categories. So we can divide the type of services which is provided by cloud in three types, which is infrastructure as service, platform as service, and software as a service. Okay. So in this, I will discuss all this important factors. Okay. So the first one which we have discussed is actually the infrastructure as a service. It's another key service in cloud. Okay. Infrastructure as service. See, infrastructure as service means it provides you the infrastructure. That means that the network, the storage, the servers, and those kind of things. Those infrastructure parts will be actually provided by the cloud provider. For example, if I say I want to host a website, okay. So I have my website code on my laptop or computer. I want to host the website. So if I want to host the website, I can use a IaaS platform, for example. So if I use a IaaS platform, the hardware, the networking part, the storage part, the servers part, and the virtualization part is actually managed by the cloud provider. Okay, and we are responsible for all the other things. I'll tell you. For example, if I say I have so I have to take care of the operating system, like I have to update the operating system properly. I have to patch the operating system. I have to do the operating system maintenance, security, and all. Then I have to install the middleware database, those kind of things. I have to install the PHP or Python or those kind of runtime platforms. I have to manage the code which I have, and I have to run the website or the application. So the infrastructure is actually the cloud provider's responsibility. Okay, the infrastructure is actually the cloud provider's responsibility. At the same time, the other parts, that means that your data, your application, your operating system, your database, and those kind of things is the responsibility of the customer. That's what we call as IaaS platform. Okay. Any doubts in this theme? If you have any doubts, please unmute and ask. So currently in this session, I am planning to discuss all this. For example, if you have any doubts, you can just ask. It's okay. Any doubts, team? Anything? The network is completely the responsibility, Sharana. That means that, okay, for example, if you have a networking, the underlying infrastructure, the underlying network is actually their concern only. For example, when you take a service, you can choose the network performance you need. But that is the performance you're choosing. The underlying physical network infrastructure is managed by the cloud provider. Is it clear? Is it clear, team? So, see, you're talking about the physical network, right? Then the virtual network also, is the responsibility of the cloud provider. That means that see, that is the responsibility of the cloud provider. I'll tell you why. It is a complete responsibility of the cloud provider. I'll tell you why. It's why because see, just give me a second. I'll just show you. Yeah, you are actually setting up a server. Okay, you are setting up a server. All the servers you set up in this cloud platform is on an infrastructure, right? This is the infrastructure of the cloud provider. This is the system you are setting up. Okay, so in this case, you can see the VMs and the interconnection between your servers and the logical networking. Everything is actually the responsibility of the cloud provider in the IaaS platform. See, if you want some network capacity, or if you want some storage capacity, if you want some server capacity, you can just provision it whenever you want. The cloud provider will always deploy that in a virtualized infrastructure, and the underlying virtual network and everything is managed by the cloud provider only. Is it clear? Yeah. Okay, that's it. And see, one question I will ask. Okay, see, tell me, who is responsible for the operating system? Who is responsible for the operating system? Okay, the customer, right? So then, in why this? See, responsibility in the sense means you have to understand the responsibility. See, responsibility in the sense means, I'll tell you something. The responsibility in the sense means, see, most providers nowadays will help you or give you an infrastructure or give you a server which is having an OS pre-installed. That can be Windows or Linux. For example, in Amazon or Azure or where which platform you're taking, they'll give you the virtual machines or servers which is already having the operating system pre-installed. Okay, but still everything on the operating system, like the updates, the patching, the maintenance, the hardening, the optimization, and everything is the responsibility of the customer. Is it clear? So that is why I have made it half blue and half gray. Till the OS installation, they will take care. So after that, the complete responsibility of the operating system, to your database, to your running platform, to your code, to your application is the responsibility of the consumer or the customer. Is it clear? That's it. Any doubts in this team? Any doubts in this? Okay, so assume that I am running a database. I am actually running a database on this cloud platform. I want to host a database on this cloud platform. And suddenly my database crashed. Who is responsible? My database got crashed in this IaaS platform. Who is responsible for that? Okay. And as one more thing, assume that I forgot the OS platform. I forgot the OS password. Who is responsible? Assume that I forgot the OS password. Who is responsible? Customer or the provider? Exactly. Why? Because the OS is completely under the responsibility of the customer. Exactly. That's it. So there is a proper demarcation point between the responsibility of both these people. Okay, that's it. So hope you understood this. And Amazon is the true leader in this IaaS platform. No other providers are giving you services better than Amazon in this IaaS. But that is why Amazon is one of the top leaders in this market now. Is it clear? That's it. See, backup. See, backup is one critical factor you have to consider. See, I told you, from the OS to the middleware to the runtime to the data to the application is the responsibility of the customer, right? So backup comes inside this, right? For example, your database backups, your server backups, your data backups, and everything is your responsibility. They will not provide you any other service. They will give you the infrastructure. Okay, I am telling them that I want to host a website. Okay, they will tell you, okay, I will give you the infrastructure. You can install you can select the operating system you want. You can select the platform, whether it's PHP or Python or whatever it is, and you can do. It's your responsibility. Okay, so the responsibility is always shared. Is it clear? That's it. That's it. So, as I told you, so users are responsible for managing the applications, the data, the runtime, middleware, operating system, etc. And the provider will manage the virtualization, the servers, the hard drives, the storage, the networks, etc. Okay, and the advantage is it's completely a pay-as-you-go model. That means that, for example, if I am deploying a server now at 3 p.m., assume I am deploying a server now at 3 p.m. and if I want that server to be used for some 1 hour, there is no commitment for me. There is no upfront commitment. That means that I can start the server whenever I want, I can consume it, and whenever I want, I can terminate it or I can stop it. You have to pay only for exactly what you're using. That 1 hour period or 2 minutes period you're using, you have to pay for that. Okay, it's your complete responsibility. If there is no upfront commitment when you're using this cloud platform. Is it clear? That's it. And of course, like this feature is also very important. See, now you choose a hardware in this IaaS platform. and suddenly your requirement changes, you can always upgrade or downgrade your hardware. You don't have to worry about the underlying thing. You can, for example, currently my company started, my application requires a very basic server only. But now when the requirement increases, you can always change the server you want. Is it clear? That's it. So now we'll discuss about the PaaS platform. See, PaaS is a platform. PaaS stands for Platform as Service. See, in the PaaS platform, they provide as a service, as the name says, it provides you a platform. This PaaS provides you a platform. That means that, for example, assume I'm a developer. This is basically a developer side of service. Assume I'm a developer. So as I'm a developer, my concern is only my data, right? I developed a Python application, or I developed a PHP application or Java application, whatever it is. My only concern is I want to host this application. I don't want to worry about any kind of underlying things like the servers or storage or the virtualization or the operating system or the security of the OS or anything. I just want my data to be hosted. It must be running. That's my only concern. In that case, the best platform you can use is PaaS. For example, if I'll say in AWS we have a service called as Elastic Beanstalk. I'll show it to you. So if you're using that service, the advantage is simply open that service, you select the platform you want, PHP or Python or Java or whatever. Select the platform you want and upload your data or upload your code. Is it fine now? Yeah. So only concern is you upload your, when you take this Elastic Beanstalk service, you can always upload your data. Just select the platform and upload your data. You don't have to worry about the underlying hardware or the platform or anything. See, I'm a developer of Python. I use Python platform. So in this service, you select Python only. Just select Python and click and upload your code and press enter. So the underlying servers, the storage and everything is taken care by the cloud provider. You can just start hosting your data. That is why this PaaS service actually is one of the most commonly used service in this cloud platform. Is it clear, team? Any doubts on this PaaS platform? PaaS? Any doubts in this? Anyone any doubts in this PaaS? This is very important. Others? Others, team, any doubts? Shanmukh, Saurabh, Saravanakumar, Ravi, Minakshi, Mamta, Naveen, any doubts? Okay. So that's what we call as this PaaS platform. PaaS stands for, as I told you, Platform as Service. It provides you the platform. You don't have to worry about the underlying infrastructure. You can just choose a platform, run your application. The cloud provider is completely responsible for the underlying infrastructure. See, I'll give an example here. See, in most PaaS cases, the customer won't be having the visibility to the operating system. He may not know what is the OS running inside the background. He will be only knowing about the particular data, okay, or the application. So what happens? If there is a attack in the operating system? Who is responsible for managing the security of the operating system? Tell me, team. Who is responsible for managing the security in this? Yeah, the provider only. Why? Because the OS is managed by the provider in this particular kind of service. Is it clear, team? That's it. That's what I call as PaaS platform. Okay. I'm just making it a bit fast to show you the practical services on these kind of things. I'll just show you the practical aspects of all these kind of things. Okay, that's it. And the last service is SaaS. See, when I say the word SaaS service, it means that software as service. You're using Office, this one, right? Office 365, or you're using Facebook, you're using WhatsApp, you're using LinkedIn. See, assume that you're using an application. See, when you're using an application, In the SaaS service, it provides you the well-cooked, completely running application. For example, Facebook, LinkedIn. You don't have to concern about the underlying hardware, right? You don't have to concern about the updates. You don't have to concern about the code or security or anything, right? You can just consume the application based on a subscription. That's what we call as the SaaS platform. It's completely off the subscription. For example, if you take Office 365, you can always use that platform if you have a subscription, and based on that you can start like the other features you can use. You don't have to worry about the underlying data or code of the application, the database or the runtime or the hardware or the capacity or anything. SaaS will completely give you a platform of which is having an application pre-deployed. You don't have to install or run any software applications on your computer. Okay, and we can, for example, if I am using this Office 365, I'll be having a subscription, and based on subscription I can start using it. I don't have to worry about the underlying infrastructure or anything, right? Is it clear, team? Any doubts till now? IaaS, PaaS or SaaS? Any doubts? I'll show an example for all this. Okay. If I choose a SaaS service and downline, it's always a greater concern. For example, if you are hosting an application, it can actually be a PaaS service, right? But still, if you're using a SaaS service and if you want to move to other cloud provider, you can always check with the contracts. Okay, you can always having a contract with the cloud provider. For example, I am hosting the PaaS platform. If I am hosting that or some application by cloud provider, and if I want to move to another cloud provider later on, I can have a proper contract with my cloud provider. Okay, I'm free to move to the other cloud provider anytime you want. And one more thing is there. See, all these cloud providers are interoperable. That means that you can host some of your applications in AWS, some of your applications in Azure, as per your requirements. That won't be a problem. And also, when you move to a cloud, when you're moving between one provider to another, it's very easy. But in some cases, only if you want to make sure that there won't be any hassle, you can have a SLA, service level agreement. Is it clear, team? Is it clear, Sivraj? Fine. That's it. So now we'll discuss about the different types of cloud, how we deploy this cloud platform. That is the most important doubt which most people ask me. How we can deploy this cloud platform? See, we can deploy this cloud platform in 4 types: the public cloud, the private cloud, the community cloud, and the hybrid cloud. We can have 4 types of cloud platforms. Okay, or we can deploy the cloud in 3 ways. 4 ways: the public cloud, the private cloud, the community cloud, and the hybrid cloud. So when I talk about this public cloud, see, previously we talked about the cloud service models. Now we are talking about the cloud deployment models. That means what all types of cloud we have. The first one is public cloud. See, for example, in the case of public cloud, I'll give an example. Assume that you take Gmail. You have Google Gmail. So when you take Gmail, can you tell the cloud provider, or can you tell Google that I want to store all my data in my location only? For example, if I am from India, I want to store my data in India only, or I want to store data in US only. Can I say it like that? Can I say it like that, team? No, it's a public cloud platform. No, right? See, for example, if you're using completely public platform, it is like the Gmail and all. You cannot say, okay, it must be storing everything in the particular country or particular state. No, it's not possible. Why? Because it's actually a public cloud platform. And also, can you say, okay, I'm a customer and I want to store all my data in a separate storage device. For example, Google gives you some 15 GB of free space. So that 15 GB of free space you're allocated from a huge pool of storage, right? That doesn't mean that you have 15 GB storage space. You are sharing the space between the other customers, right? and you can use up to 15 GB on that. That's what I'm saying, right? So in that case, that's what we call as the public cloud. It will be always under the ownership and management of a third-party vendor, and the customer won't have any kind of distinguishability or control over the location of the infrastructure. Is it clear? But still they have some, even if they have some basic measures for preventing or securing this, this is not completely secure. Why? Because as you are sharing the infrastructure between the cloud providers and you are storing the data as per the ideas of the cloud provider, this is not much secure and this is not much in demand. But the advantage of this public cloud platform is it's actually very economical. That means the cost is very less. Because for example, if you want to store something in a public cloud provider, even if you have the risk, the cost is very less. Is it clear? That's it. And that's what we call as public cloud platform. So the next is private cloud. See, private cloud means, what is a private cloud? See, private cloud means a private cloud is actually of two types. I'll just explain that two types in a different way. So we have two types of private clouds. The first one is on-premises private cloud and the second one is off-premises private cloud. I have two types of cloud private cloud, on-premises private cloud and off-premises private cloud. So what is the difference, team? What is the difference between this on-premises private cloud and off-premises private cloud? The difference is if you're using an on-premises private cloud or if you're using an off-premises private cloud, it will be always under a third party. For example, Amazon is an example, Azure is an example. Okay. If you're using an off-premises private cloud, it can be under the responsibility or it can be under the control of a third party. At the same time, if you're using an on-premises private cloud, it is completely the responsibility of the company only, that is customer only. I'll give you an example for that. For example, your company don't want to use any cloud provider like Amazon, Azure or anybody. Your company directly want to set up a data center and they want to start working on it. In that case, what we can do is we can use a private cloud platform. That means that we can set up a cloud platform in our company data center. And what is the advantage of using an on-premises private cloud? That means that you have the complete control. There is no third party involved. You have the complete control and there is no multi-tenancy. That means that there is no multiple users or multiple people who is working on it. Okay. Only thing is your company, your customers and all. Okay. That servers, the storage and everything is actually dedicated to your company people only. Yeah. Okay. That's a good question, Shivraj. How can we call as that as cloud? Yeah. See, when you say the word cloud, if your cloud is having some few features, we can call it as cloud. For example, if your data center is accessible from anywhere as per your requirements, then if it is having a highly scalable nature, and like this, you have some 4 to 5 features. If you have these features, you can call it as a cloud platform. Is it clear? Okay. Okay, difference between public cloud and off-premises private cloud. That means that, see, if you're using a public cloud, as I told you, you don't have the location control. At the same time, in an off-premises private cloud, you have the location control. That means you can say, okay, I want you to store my data in India only or US only. I can just tell them as per my requirements. Then I can have a dedicated virtual space for my requirement. For example, in public cloud, the problem is you don't have, as I told you, you don't have the location control and the infra is completely shared. In the private cloud as well, in the off-premises private cloud as well, the infra is shared, but still you can have a complete secure isolation between the other providers. For example, in AWS, we have an option called as AWS VPC. That means that virtual private cloud. That means that, see, you, me, and everyone is creating an account in Amazon and trying to deploy. Yeah. No. It's actually a virtual isolation which is happening. It is not the hardware level isolation which is happening. It's a logical level. That means that, okay, we are all deploying on the same data center, maybe on the same server, but still we are completely logically isolated each other with a highly secure network. This is called as Amazon VPC in the case of Amazon. Naturally, we call it as VNets. Is it clear? It is not the hardware level isolation. Is it clear? Okay, I'll tell you once again. See, basically, I'll just give you an example here. No, not like that. See, this is a cloud provider platform. See, this is customer number 1, customer number 2, customer number 3, 4, 5, and 6. See, basically, even if they reside or they deploy their servers on the same platform, same storage or same devices, they have a wall of isolation. They have virtual network isolation, which is done in the logical level and the VM level and the application level to make sure that there is no communication which is happening in between these providers. Is it clear? No, they will get a logical isolation, but this can give you a logical network binding, which will even more make it secure than the normal isolation. Is it clear? See, public cloud for the these are two factors you have to consider the public cloud. See, public cloud means that, as I told you, it's actually the first thing is you don't have location control, and the second part is you are sharing the infra with other customers, and your other customers may have the visibility to your infra. Then you cannot say, okay, how can you say that they provide you the complete security? At the same time, if you're using the private cloud, you have a proper strong isolation between the customers, and one customer won't be having any visibility to the other customer. Is it clear? That's the main problem. That's the main problem, Samana. That means that there is no security hardening. For example, how you cannot configure security or you cannot configure this hardening part and those kind of things in the public cloud platform. Why? Because see, in this private cloud, you can configure who can enter the secure network, who can leave this network, what protocol can enter. You can specify each and every point in this private cloud and soft promises. At the same time, in this public cloud platform, the security hardening and everything is under the control of the provider only. You may get it or not. Because after all, you're sharing an infrastructure. That's all. You don't have any control, like for example, in the cloud provider. For example, if you're using Gmail or Google, you cannot say they implement any kind of hardening practice, security practices, even if they say it like that. At the same time, the private cloud, you can say, okay, see these tenants. This is the customer 1. This is the customer 2, customer 3, 4, 5, and 6. So I can say who can access my network, who is blocked, what is blocked, where, when, everything I can define. Is it clear? That's what we call as the off-premises private cloud. Off-premises private cloud will always be under a third party. For example, Amazon is an example, Azure is an example, etc. Is it clear? At the same time, on-premises private cloud. On-premises private cloud means, as I said, on-premises private cloud means your company is deploying a cloud platform completely dedicated for you. See, even if we are using this off-premises private cloud, it's actually by a third party. If you want not to involve any kind of third-party providers, or if you want to have complete control A to Z, then you can use a on-premises private cloud. But the problem is there is an initial cost. There is an initial cost for the on-premises private cloud, and also it can be too complicated to manage. So you are responsible for every factors, right? Because you are the customer, you are the cloud provider. But one advantage is that there is no multi-tenancy. That means that only your cloud platform is dedicated for you only. Nobody else is sharing the infra. Is it clear, team? Private cloud is clear, team? Any doubts, anyone? Any doubts, team? Anything? Okay. No. Off-premise is actually for public cloud, private cloud, and hybrid cloud. It's already there for everyone. Yes, I told you, right? This private cloud is having two types. It's actually the on-premises and the off-premises. On-premise means your data center. Offer managed is third party. Is clear? Others? End outs anything? Others? End outs team? Anything? Others? Anything in and outs? Fine. Okay. So now we have one more type, which is actually called as the hybrid cloud. This is the most common one. Most people use it actually. See, hybrid cloud means it's a combination of a public cloud with a private cloud. That means that assume that you are deploying a cloud platform, or assume that you're deploying a data center on your premises, and you don't want to use a third-party cloud provider for storing all your data or processing all your data. So everything is with you only. So you're deploying a data center on your premises or on your infrastructure. So assume that you're not currently using any cloud providers, but still in some point of time, assume that you want to have more storage or more network capacity, or if you want to have more performance, or if you want to store some space to store some backups. So anyway, if you want to extend your current data center, then we use a concept called as hybrid cloud. That means that you're using private cloud or you're using your data center. From there, you are using the cloud provider as an extension of your data center. For example, my servers and all run in the local data center only, and I want the backups and everything to go to a cloud provider. Example. So hybrid cloud is a combination of public and private cloud platform. Is it clear, Dean? Any doubts in this? Any doubts? Kiran, George, Meenakshi, Naveen? Fine, perfect. So, and the last one is community cloud, which is not much common for you, but still it's important. So, community cloud means, see, for example, if I say we have 4 companies, all of these 4 companies are actually focusing on a same job. For example, the job nature, the vision, the mission, and everything of the company is same. In that particular case, we use a concept called as community cloud. That means that we can build a cloud platform. This can be a private cloud platform dedicated for a specific. Yeah, definitely. AWS Government Cloud is an example. Actually, AWS Government Cloud. I'll give you an example. For example, when you subscribe to AWS Government Cloud platform, all the government services, like all the government departments or maybe universities, can be a part of this government cloud. Is it clear? For example, if I say in the US government is actually moving almost all their government service and things to this AWS platform, what happens is they can combine all this, or all these government agencies which work together can form a cloud platform, which can be provided by a third-party provider or can be deployed by this team as well. Is it clear? Is it clear, Meenakshi? Still confused? Yeah, depends on the customer, not only the customer, depends on the customer requirement we are classifying it. Okay, I'll just give an example. I'll just give you an example now. This picture will give you a more clear understanding. Just give me a second. Let me open that file. This picture will give you a clear understanding of this. Just a second. See this? Now is it clear? Just go through and tell me if you understood this. Others, is it clear now? Others? Others, is it clear? This picture makes sense? Yeah, perfect. Okay. See this. In this case, you can see that, okay, private cloud is actually by your organization or the third party. The infrastructure is managed by the organization or third party, and it is owned by the organization or third party. And see, in this private or community cloud, the advantage is there is only trusted users. What is trusted users? That means a user you know. For example, your company employees is trusted users. But in the public cloud, anybody can do it, right? It's public. Anybody can work, right? That's why we call it as untrusted users as well. That's it. Fine. So now we will go to the AWS Cloud Platform. So team, before we go to this AWS and focus more on that, any doubts you have till now? Anything, any questions or queries? You can unmute and ask. It's okay. Or you can put in chat box. Any queries you have? I'll give you a detailed idea about the certifications which is AWS provides and how to acquire that and what are the what is best and what is best for your choice and all. I'll explain. But before that, any doubts you have in this? Okay, we'll do one thing. We'll have 10 minutes break and we'll start. Okay, we'll have 10. Yes, Arona, we'll have a break. Okay, we'll have a break now. 10 minutes. We'll start. Sharp 10 minutes. Okay. We'll start by 4:25. Okay, IST. Fine. Everyone's back. If you're back, please type yes in chat box. If you're back, please type it in chat box. Yeah, fine. Okay, we'll start now. So now we will discuss more about Amazon. Okay, we'll discuss about Amazon. So before that, team, do you have doubts till now? Anything, any other things in the cloud computing? Okay, so we'll discuss about AWS, and I'll tell you why this AWS cloud platform is one of the best platform which you can actually move your career to cloud, or maybe why it can help you in your business, and those all kind of things we will discuss now. So see why this AWS is important, because this AWS is the first cloud platform which was available publicly from 2006 onwards. All the other cloud providers like the Azure, Google, and everyone else came only after this AWS. For example, Azure came in 2008, Google in 2010, I think. So likewise, all the other cloud providers came only after this Amazon. Okay, so Amazon is actually founded by Jeff Bezos in 1994, and this AWS cloud platform, which we see now, is actually developed in 2006, and they offer a lot of services and things. And before I go to the next concept, see, we have a word called as regions and availability zones. That is the first one which we have discussed, regions and availability zones. So just to give you a start, see, assume that currently we assume that I'm already in India. So Mumbai, I'll take Mumbai, example of Mumbai. Okay, Mumbai is a location where Amazon operates. Okay, Mumbai is a location where Amazon operates. So Mumbai is called as the region. Okay. For example, in Amazon we have different in North Virginia, Singapore, Ohio. Like we have different regions. So regions are the geographical locations where Amazon operates. It can be like worldwide they have multiple regions, and now they have 22, I think. The slide is not updated. You can check the website actually. So we have more than 21 regions now for Amazon. Regions are the geographical locations. Okay. Regions are the geographical locations, and so as I told you, in Mumbai we have a region. Okay. So in Mumbai we say it as a region. Okay, this is the region in Mumbai. So inside Mumbai, they may have multiple data centers, right? For example, inside the Mumbai, they serve their customers from 3 data centers, 1, 2, and 3. they serve their customers from three data. So first one, second one, third one. So these are called as the availability zones. That means that Mumbai is the name of the region. Inside Mumbai, we have multiple locations or multiple data centers which we can deploy our servers and everything. It is called as availability zones. Okay. So regions or zones are inside this regions. Okay. And every region will be having a minimum of 3 zones. And nowadays it's maximum of 6 actually. They are planning to have 7 in one region now. It's according to the region. Is it clear, team? So we have regions and we have availability zones. Is it clear? Any doubts till now? Anything in this? Regions and zones, any doubts? Fine.
Hi, I'm Meenakshi. Just wanted to know, these availability zones are at every geographical regions?
You're not audible to me.
Hello? Hello?
Meenakshi, you're saying something? You're not audible actually. Others? Yeah, I'll tell you the difference. Anything more? Any other doubts in this? Yeah, fine. Okay. I think she's not audible for me. Now it's okay for me. Can you speak now?
Hello?
Yeah. Tell me, Meenakshi. Now it's audible.
Okay, sorry. Just wanted to ask, availability zones are available. I mean, it's there on every geographical region, or it is for all the geographical region.
Not exactly. See, it is there for every region. For example, if I say a region name as North Virginia, if I say a region name Mumbai, Singapore, Ohio, or all these locations are regions. So inside each region, you must have multiple availability zones. That is multiple data centers.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And for Saravanan, I will just tell you once again. See, for example, for a cloud provider, see, it's very important to have their data centers in multiple locations. For example, for India, assume that I am from India and according to my regulations, I have to store all my data in India only. So, unless if Amazon is not having a data center in Mumbai, I cannot, or India, I cannot store it, right? So, likewise, so for almost all the locations in the world, they have multiple data centers. I'll just show you an example here. AWS regions. I'll just show you a picture of that now. You can see it here now. See this? This is an example which I want to show it. See this? See, this is actually North America. In North America, they have a data center, or they have a region in Ohio region. In that, they have 3 availability zones. That means they have 3 data centers. So in Canada, they have 2 zones. Basically, they will make it 3 for every place. Previously, there was 2. Now they're telling them that everyone will make it. They will make it everywhere 3 only, at least minimum. Okay. And you can see it here. See, in the case of South America, they have Sao Paulo, where they have 3 availability zones. So likewise, availability zones are inside the regions. Yeah, and one more thing, I just don't want to confuse you now, but still understand that availability zone. See, assume that Mumbai we have 3 availability zones. That doesn't mean that exactly 3 data centers. I told you it like that, but still it's a bit more advanced when we discuss. A single zone can be 1 or 2 data centers. It can be clustered. Likewise, we have multiple availability zones in a single region. Is it clear now? We may have 1 or more data center in a single availability zone, and we have multiple availability zone in a region. Is it clear? Yeah, it's a logical thing. But no, it's a physical infrastructure. What you deploy there is logical actually. Is it clear? For example, if I say See, give me a second. Yeah, you can take the case of a North Virginia region. See, this North Virginia region, I'll just draw it here. Let me make my pen. Yeah. So this is the, assume that this is the North Virginia region. So in the North Virginia region, they have multiple locations. Okay, location 1, location 2, location 3, location 4, location 5, and location 6. So all these locations are actually the available. These are the availability zones. Okay, these are the collection of 1 or 2 data centers in a single cluster. Okay, inside the same region called as North Virginia. Likewise, they have a region in Mumbai. They have a region in Singapore. Is it clear? No. Multiple data. See, availability zone means it's a place where they serve their customers, right? So, in most availability zone, that can be a single data center. But in some cases, we cannot guarantee say that it will be single only. They can have cluster as well. They can have 2 data center buildings or something like that. But still, it will be a single location. It's a single pile location. Is it clear? Okay. So the next point is very critical. Actually, you have to understand. So as I told you, for every regions, we have multiple availability zones, right? So all these availability zones inside a region are connected each other. All these availability zones inside a region are connected each other. So we have a dedicated low latency connection between the availability zones inside a region. That means that sometimes when you copy onto something onto this region, it can be replicated to this region as well, or this region as well, as per the configuration. So the data you store in a region can be replicated across the multiple availability zones for redundancy. For example, when we deploy some database or when we deploy some servers, when we deploy some storage, it can be actually replicated to multiple zones in the same region. But as per the compliance and regulatory factors, the cloud provider will not copy your data to any other region. For example, if I say if I have data in Mumbai, okay, the data in Mumbai will not be copied to any other region unless you explicitly do so. And that is not mandatory that you have to copy your data in Mumbai only, right? You can store in Mumbai or North Virginia, or you can use any location you want except the government cloud. But still, when you copy a data to region, the data will not leave the region unless you manually do so. Why? Because there is no connection between those regions. Each region is separate entity. That means that the Mumbai region administration is completely separate. North Virginia region is completely separate. So each region is completely isolated entity. What is the advantage of that? Why? Because if one region goes down, that will not be affecting any other region. And of course, yeah, we can make this availability zone as a backup as well. For example, if I say I have a server in this zone 1, the provider itself, or we can also make a copy of the server here. So for example, if this zone, this data center went down due to some reasons, this data center is not available. Still, you won't be affected. Why? Because you are serving, or they are serving you from this particular next zone, and you will not be even knowing it. Why? Because you have a feature called as redundancy. They can act as a backup. They can act as a failover. They can act as like the performance factor. Everything they can do. Is it clear? Any doubts, team? Anything? Others, region zone is clear. Any doubts? Now my audio is okay. Anything,
if there is a downfall in region, then
okay, that's a good question. Yeah, that can happen. See, one thing you have to keep in mind. Okay, assume that this is Mumbai region. See, Mumbai region, you may have one. As I told you, we have 3 data centers or 3 availability zones now. We can have 3 data centers. Assume so, and each of these data centers are actually having some 50 to 100 kilometer distance. Okay, assume. Basically, one availability zone can go down, or maybe this can go down. But still, if the whole region goes down due to some reason, if there is anything happened and the whole region went down, In that particular case, you can access the other region. For example, if I say, if you want to make sure, even if there is a disaster in a complete region, your system or your infra must not be affected. So for that, you can deploy one of your servers in one region and other server in another region. So even if this region goes down, you can always use this, right? But there is a problem on that. Can you tell me what is the problem which we use this inter-region thing? Anyone? So as Meenakshi said, I am actually having a server, I am deploying a server in one region, and to make sure even if the region goes down, I can actually work on my backup instance or backup server in this region too. Okay. We can have a data replica. Yeah, we can make it. But what is the trouble in this? No, assume that we can use both services. But what is the trouble in this? We have to use the public internet, right? As I told you, the regions are completely isolated. So we have to use the public internet to synchronize the communication between these two particular regions. Is it clear? We have to have a synchronization. We must have to use public internet to have the synchronization between these two things. So what is the risk in that? If you're using public internet, we can have security issues, right? Yeah. To prevent that, we can use things like VPC, or we can use things like VPN, IPsec, those kind of things to make sure we have a secure channel. Is it clear, team? That we have to configure. Amazon will provide us the option, but we have to configure through the public internet. Is it clear? So regions are always isolated. Everything is separate entities, but zones are connected to each other. No data from a region will leave the region unless you manually do so. That means that if I am copying something to Mumbai, it will be in Mumbai only. If I am copying something to North Virginia, it will be there in North Virginia only. Okay, but it can be replicated to multiple availability zones. If you want to have a cross-region replication, you have to configure it via internet with the help of some secure protocols and standards. Others, any doubts in this? Is it clear? So region and zone is clear, right? You can just go through it. This will help you out. And this is the last point I explained, right? We have to use VPN-like things and all. Yeah. But in Azure, when you take the case of Azure Cloud, we have a concept called as connected regions. That means that some regions are actually connected. No, Saravan, the slides are actually trainer slides. It's actually signed. So I am not able to share the slides. I think you will get the recording actually. Is it okay? Fine, perfect. Others? Any doubts till now? Is it clear, team? Fine. No, exactly what happens is, see, I'll tell you once again, just don't confuse, okay? See, why this kind of architecture Amazon is following? Because a disaster or a downtime or anything which is affecting one region or one set of our data centers must not be affecting the other people. That is why they always make it like a different one. For example, they want to make it like, multiple regions, so that even if one goes down, it's okay. You don't have to worry about it, right? That's it. So that's it. So that's about the regions and availability zones. And as per 2018 sales report, Amazon is the top cloud provider in the world. Why? Because not all. See, it's like that. It's like that. For example, almost all the critical services and main services which we use with Amazon is there in all the regions. But some services, when you open, they will say that the service is not in this region currently. You can use some other region for that. But in that case, no, versions and everything is same. Some features and some services is not available in a particular region. So in that case, you can use the other region as well. And every day they are actually making it the problem solved. For example, some services were not there in Mumbai for a long time, but now it's available. and some services is not there for Singapore region. Now it's available. Like that, they are actually updating every day. Okay, that's it. So this is an example. This is a CSR report 2018. So according to that, the cloud provider is actually 41.5% share is actually for the AWS, and all the other cloud providers share the rest only. Why? Because see, AWS is a true leader, and I'll tell you why. The infrastructure provided by AWS is not at all, or nobody else is competing with the infrastructure and the amount of services which is provided by AWS. And one more thing, most people ask me, why do I have to study Amazon? Why can't I study Azure and Google? Why do I have to start with Amazon? See, I tell them, okay, I tell most people when they ask me why I have to start with Amazon, or why do you have to start with Amazon? It's why, because see, if you're using any other cloud things like Azure or something, it's okay. But still, Amazon is the one which started initially, right? They are the first one we start 2006. And you know what happens when they start first, right? All the other cloud providers like Azure and Google and everything is actually like a copy of it. For example, in Amazon you have a service called as a feature called as instance. In the same thing in Azure we say it as VMs. The same thing in the Google we say it as instance. So likewise, just the name only changes. The service and the features and everything is same. Just a very small difference. So if you can learn Amazon, then you can learn Azure, Google and all by yourself. It's not a big concern, right? It's why, because once you learn Amazon, you know, oh, okay, this is the way it works. These are the types of services which we have. If you know that, then definitely you can learn the other platform. For example, when you open Azure, you will be knowing, okay, this is by Amazon. This service is kind of this by Amazon. Likewise, you will be able to know. Even the cloud providers like Azure and all have now released a chart to compare the services with the Amazon. I'll just show an example. In the Microsoft website, you can see a chart which can show you a difference between the service in Amazon and Azure. They just want users in Amazon to be familiar with the service in Azure as well. That's why. I'll just show an example here. Give me a second. See this. This is actually by Azure. This is actually released by Azure, this chart. See, in AWS, we have a service called as EC2. The same thing in Azure, we call as virtual machines. In AWS, we say it as Lightsail. In Azure, we say it as virtual machine images. In AWS, we have a service called as S3. In Azure, we call it as blobs. In AWS, we store it as Glacier. Azure, we say it as Archive. Nothing more. It's very simple. Right? That is why I tell most people, when if you study Amazon, Azure, Google and those kind of things, you can always study by yourself. And it's very easy to study as well. Any doubts in this team till now? Any doubts you have? I'll tell you the certifications and all once we come to the end of it. Any other doubts in him? Anything? Any concerns, any doubts, any queries? Anything, team? See, basically, in my experience, when I say, it's all based on the requirement. See, now I say Amazon is better. Sometimes some people say Azure is better, but still, it can always change, right? So now, till now, from the 2006 onwards, till now, Amazon is a market leader. They can always change or not. For example, maybe after some 2 years, Azure can win, or maybe Amazon will still lead the market. It can always change. Why? Because the IT is completely changing, and people need more features, more performance, more automation. And public or private, you can say. See, basically, Amazon is a public cloud provider, private cloud provider, and hybrid cloud provider. So almost all the providers, the common providers now, there's Oracle, there's the IBM, the Amazon, Azure, Alibaba, and everybody provides all of this, public, private, hybrid, etc. Then why do they want, or you can use any service. And this private service is what is most commonly used. Is it clear? Is it clear, team? Sharon, is it clear? Yeah, no. Amazon provides a service which connects you to help with on-premises cloud. That is why we call it as a hybrid cloud provider. We have a service called as storage gateway. We have a service called as carry-ins, those kind of things which will help us to connect your on-premise cloud to Amazon. That's why it's called a hybrid cloud. Yeah, definitely. IaaS, I'll just give an example. I'll just show you now, Meenakshi. I'll show you an example. Okay. So first of all, I'll just show you how to create an AWS account. Then I'll just show you the service. Okay. So Amazon is a private cloud provider. Amazon itself is a private cloud provider. Okay, Amazon is a private cloud provider because they have a service called as VPC. Amazon is a public cloud provider, and Amazon is a hybrid provider because they have a service called as storage gateway, etc. Is it clear? They are all three. They provide all three services: public cloud and hybrid cloud. No, but still, Amazon will help you to connect your on-premise infra to cloud, right? Or the AWS, right? That's why they call it a hybrid cloud. Is it clear? Yeah, okay. So now I'll show you how to start with AWS. And the best part is, if you want to learn AWS, that is why most people actually move to AWS first when they want to learn. See, because AWS, when you create an account in AWS, they will give you 12 months of free tier subscription. What is this free tier subscription? That means that in Amazon, we have a lot of services, and almost all the services are there free tier. You can use some services, or you can use almost all the services in Amazon for free up to a limit for the first 1 year, and you're not being charged of it. But you must clearly know which is chargeable and which is not. You can refer to this link, and in this link you will see that what all services are completely free, what all services are free for 1 year and all. So by using this, you can always use the Amazon and learn everything. Is it clear? That's it. And that doesn't mean that after 1 year you are charged. Only if you're using in a service you are charged. For example, after 1 year, if you're storing something or if you're actually deploying something, you're charged. Okay. Having an account will not give you charge. Okay. Only if you consume you are charged. That is what I told us, pay as you go model. Based on the consumption, you are charged. Is it clear? That's it. So I'll tell you how to do that. So first of all, if you want to start with Amazon, the first thing you have to do is you have to go to this particular console, which is called as aws.amazon.com. If you type it like this, it will go to the AWS console, and here maybe you can click on create AWS account or click on management console. I click on create AWS account. And here I can start your account without any hassle. We can start our accounts in a few minutes itself. It's very easy. You can use a debit card or credit card. I'll tell you why. So you'll get a console like this. You can click on create AWS account, and they will ask you for an email address. You can put a password, and you can put an account name. See, account name means it can be the name of anything. Like for example, it can be the name of your name. It's okay. Your company name is okay. Your project name, whatever it is, you can put your account name as it. Okay, that's it. And once you fill all those details and you will click on continue, you will be taken to a window which is called as contact information. You can put your contact information with your full name, your company name, and all your information you can put, and they will ask you for a PAN card as well. But one thing you have to keep in mind while creating this account is, see, you are creating this account in Amazon, okay, and what you are going to do is you are going to deploy real-time servers in Amazon. Everything is, you're not simulating anything. You're deploying servers and storage and everything in Amazon. So what happens is, sorry, when you deploy something in Amazon, they have to verify your identity for compliance purpose, right? They have to verify your identity for safety and compliance purposes. So for that, what we do is they will actually verify your bank account as well. Okay, to make sure your payment will not be affected, or to make sure your account is genuine, they will actually verify your bank account. So for verification of your bank account, they will ask your payment information. They just ask your credit card information. You can put credit card or debit card. It's okay. Just put your credit card or debit card number, expiration date, CVV, and cardholder's information, and click on Secure Submit. You will be directed to your bank window, and they will deduct ₹2. 2 rupees they will deduct. Okay, just Indian rupee 2, and that 2 rupees also will be refunded after 1 week. Those 2 rupees they are actually deducting to make sure the account you are creating is genuine. That's all. Okay, it is not to charge anything, just to add your payment method and to make sure your account is genuine. That's why they are actually just using this bank account. Is it clear? So you have to enter your credit card, debit card number. But as per my knowledge, till now RuPay card is not accepted. You can use Visa or MasterCard. Okay, RuPay cards are not accepted. So once you create an account, once you create an AWS account, so now your account is active. Okay, now your account is active, and after this, they will actually give you a call. They will ask you your contact number, enter your contact number, and they will ask you to type this code on your phone. And once you type this code on your phone, your account is completely activated. Is it clear till now? Any doubts in this? Anything? Any doubts? Team, any doubts, team? Okay. Others? Any doubts, team? Anything? Okay. Yes. Okay, fine. So once you create all this, they will ask you to select a support plan. This is actually most confused by people. They will ask you to select a support plan. See, support plan means, see, even if you're taking, we have basically 4 types of support plan. Okay, we have basically 4 types of support plans. That is, we have a basic plan, we have a developer plan, we have a business plan, and we have an enterprise plan. Okay, we have 4 plans: basic plan, developer plan, business plan, and enterprise plan. The differences, see, all 4 of these plans, the console is same, the service is same, the features is same, everything is same. The difference is the support from Amazon. The support in these plans is, the only difference is the support that Amazon provides. Okay, that's the difference. The only difference is the support Amazon provides. For example, in this basic plan, it is actually there, it's completely free. The basic plan means you have only 2 things they will support. Okay, they will support you on only 2 things. The first thing is they will support you only on your account and billing. The second thing is they will support you on the limits. I'll tell you what. See, for example, assume that you have an issue with the account. For example, your account is actually like you're not able to log in, or your account got suspended, or there's any other issue. Any issue based on your account, or any disputes or any concerns or any queries regarding the billing, the bill you get. For these things, you can contact Amazon on this basic plan. Also, there is something called as a limit. See, what is the limit? I told you in the cloud, they provide you a lot of services, lot of features. Even you can deploy a single server which is having some 3,900 GB RAM. 3,900 GB RAM you can get. 3,900 GB RAM you can get if you want, in a single server if you want. Okay, so Amazon provides you a lot of services with a lot of features, but to make sure you don't mistake or accidentally enable some services, or you don't accidentally do anything, they will create something called as a limit. That limit doesn't mean that you cannot cross the limit, but still you have a limit. If you want to, for example, if currently I have a limit of 5 GB storage, that means that I can use after 5 GB, but you have to send a mail to Amazon to increase the limit, to make sure you don't make any mistake. That's why. Is it clear? So you will get support for account, billing, and limits only in this basic plan. No technical support. That means that you want to know how to deploy something, or you want to know how to solve an issue on this technical side. They will not help you with this. So basic plan is a completely one thing which will help you to have the account and billing support and the limits. But the other plans, the developer plan, the business plan, enterprise plan, etc., is actually entirely different. That means that facing a developer plan, they will give you technical support as well, but the support time and the response can vary according to the plan. Okay. See, for all the other three plans, they will give you support, they will give you everything, but still the support time, the features, and all these kind of things can be different. The response time, etc. So you can choose a plan as per your company requirements. And one thing I'll just remind you again, choosing a plan is only for the support from Amazon. There is no other difference. For example, if you have a perfect team for Amazon on your team, you don't have to have this kind of things. Why? Because technical support is actually only different, which is actually between these plans. And the developer plan is chargeable up to, for example, some $29 per month. And business plan can start from $100 per month, and enterprise can start from $1,000 per month. It's actually a support fee. At the same time, there is no support fee for the basic plan. And when you're learning, I always suggest to take the basic plan because you don't have to have the technical support. That's fine. Is it clear, team? Any doubts till now? Any doubts? Anything? If you have any doubts, please unmute and ask. Anything? Any doubts, team? Anything? I'll show you some practical as well in a few minutes. Any doubts you have? Okay, the business and the business plan and enterprise planners. See, business plan, the first one is the cost. Okay, it's $100 and $1,000. That means that the response time can be very different. For example, in the business plan, the response time is almost 1 hour, etc., for production systems. But here it can be starting from 1 minute to 5 minutes, etc. And the response time and the response period, and they will give you a response even in the non-business days and hour. That's the enterprise plan. For example, assume that you are running in 24/7 infrastructure, and it is actually very critical. It's, for example, you are running a bank or something like that. So for those kind of things, enterprise plan can help you with that. For example, if there is a disaster, or if there is an DDoS attack, or if there is anything goes wrong, we can always use the business plan, enterprise plan, to get back to normal with the help of the Amazon team. Is it clear? They will assist you in any kind of issues. Is it clear?
For DR plan, generally companies prefer enterprise, right?
Not like that. See, for disaster recovery case, it's according to the company, the technology priority they're using. For example, if you're a hospital or if you're a bank, those kind of things, they will definitely use enterprise plans. If they are above average company. Why? Because, for example, a normal company, if they use this plan, they can incur a lot of cost, right? At least $1,000 per month.
Yeah.
So,
I mean,
for example,
like suppose, I wanted to know that the critical companies, maybe not company, the business, like bank, hospitals, which are very critical to the life, services, they use enterprise. I just want to understand from a business, from a company perspective, if we gonna propose to have a cloud, and we are going to propose a company, let's have a AWS services. So according to our needs, we need to like for enterprise, it is not necessary that we should go only for enterprise. The business plan also give us the backup or response when there is a disaster, right?
But the difference is time and the efficiency. For example, in the enterprise plan, you can use services like the DDoS protection called as Shield and all. So if it can give you a more faster response time, and if there is any incident occurs as well, they will assist you completely to resolve the incident and get back to normal.
Okay, thank you. Yeah.
See, in one of my customers, I'm not able to tell the name, but still, one of my customers is actually, they are having this developer plan. I have not seen this developer plan commonly. Why? Because this plan is having a lot of hassle in my experience. So what I'll do is, most companies, they use this business plan and enterprise plan. So I was actually a part of a project previously who was actually a hospital. Actually, that hospital was actually spanning all over this US region. So the advantages, for example, if I have a downtime or if there is any attack or there is any issue that I can just start a chat conversation between them and they will have a dedicated team which can assist me in anything, any issues I can have this AWS platform. Also, for example, if I want to know if my application is compatible with something, or if I want help in developing something, this can be compatible with this Amazon platform. I can use this enterprise plan. Can give you more support. It can be more flexible actually. Is it clear? That's it. Others, is it clear? But it is not necessary. Okay, that doesn't mean that you have to definitely choose enterprise plan or business plan. It's all based on the requirement. I have seen a lot of companies, lot of hospitals, lot of banks using this business plan. See, if you have a dedicated team for AWS, and if you want to have this, if you want to make sure that everything is running fine, you can have a person, can have a team in house. But still, for the support from Amazon, if you want to have a faster response time and all, you can use the plans actually. So how AWS based DR servers can keep updated? Present is not clear for me. You're talking about the server updation or something like that?
So basically, I'm referring to, for example, just what we understand, the DR site can be set up over the Amazon, right?
Yeah. Sure.
So, but for example, the customer is keeping the on-premises server at his end and want to have the DR into the Amazon. So how the DR, because when it comes to the on-premises servers, those are getting updated regularly basis, means the new entries are getting added to those servers. For example, they are creating the number of clients. So how it can get replicated to the Amazon DR so that into the disaster, if something happened onto the on-premises, they can go back to the Amazon and activate the DR.
Oh, you want to know how it works, right?
Yes.
I'll tell you. Yeah, I'll tell you. See, basically, if you're moving to Amazon or if you're doing on-premises, if you're taking an IaaS service and cloud provider, that is always your responsibility to making it update to the requirements and making it update to the complaints and factors. For example, if I say I have a main server in the on-premises and if I have a backup server in AWS, we can always synchronize the servers, right? That means that if, for example, if there is anything which is happening to the server, you can have your Amazon servers as a hot site actually. So if this goes down, that will always come up. And one more thing is that
it will be a part of the IaaS service basically. IaaS service basically.
Yeah, in that case you told right, you want to make it like, for example, the updation and all, if you want to take care of it. For example, if I am having a server in my premises, which can be installing, for example, MySQL or any other customized application. So I have deployed the same backup in the AWS cloud premises. For that, the best one I can use is IaaS. Why? Because they will provide the hardware only. You will be taking care of the software, the application and all.
Perfect. So in that case, the DR can be basically, so for example, I'm from Mumbai. So my production on-premises site is available in Mumbai. So in that case, I want the DR not in Mumbai, somewhere outside.
You can create that server in any region. Any region. For example, if you see in AWS, you have some 22 plus availability zones, regions now. See, Mumbai is there, North Virginia is there. According to your compliance and regulatory requirements, according to your company policies, you can keep your data in any Amazon regions you want. And for example, if your Mumbai location goes down, it's okay. Within no time, you can take it back to normal, like with the help of this Amazon backup location you configured, right?
Correct. Perfect. Thank you.
Any other doubts, team? Anything? Others, you're saying something? Others? Any doubts? Okay. So and team, if you have any doubts in the security, I'm planning a webinar for this AWS security specialty itself, how to do the security and all in AWS. Coming days we will share the link of that. It's okay. So as what I just understand, this AWS can provide you the support. Just I got one more out. See, it's actually according to configure ceremony. For example, if I say if I have a data center in Mumbai, if I have servers in Mumbai region of Amazon, and if I have a backup location in Singapore, if I configure the VPC and all properly, the VPN connection, if I configure properly, when the site goes down, when the Mumbai region goes down, you don't have to wait or you don't have to worry about that. Okay, how can I turn it up? It will automatically turn on, right? Because we have already configured that base outside. So if the Mumbai region goes down, it will always come up, and you can always monitor it. You can always troubleshoot it very easily, replicate it, no problem. And it's the most easy task you can do in Amazon. So when compared to the other cloud providers, switching between the regions can be very easy in Amazon. Is it clear? Okay. Just some quick questions. Please answer this, team. Just some quick. Team, please answer these questions. Let me see if how many of you understood that which we discussed. Okay. What is the first one, team? Okay. What is the second one? Yeah. Okay. For the answer, the first one is availability zone. The second, what is the second one? Basic, developer, business, and free. Is it clear? Basic, developer, business, and enterprise. Is it clear? That's it. These are plans which you have in AWS. Okay. So now we'll actually make it something hands-on. Okay. So I'll give an example for an IaaS service, a PaaS service, and a SaaS service as well. Give me a second. I'll log into my account and then I'll show it to you. Okay. Let me log into my account. Just a second. See, this is my AWS console. See, you can see my region name. See, this currently I am in North Virginia. You can always change this region if you want. Okay. For example, if I want to go to Mumbai, I can just click on this region. I can go to Mumbai. But there is one problem is there. Team. That means that if I go to Mumbai, okay, I can see the servers and everything in Mumbai only. If I go to North Virginia, I will see the resources in there only. As I told you, everything is region specific. Is it clear? That's it. So now what I'll show you this service. The first service which I'm going to show you is actually called as a EC2. So there is a service called as EC2 in Amazon, which stands for Elastic Compute Cloud. Okay, EC2 stands for Elastic Compute Cloud. And the advantage of this service is, if you're using EC2 service, it is a service which is an IaaS service, infrastructure service, which can help you with this deploying servers and storage and getting the infrastructure as per your requirements. Okay, this service will help you to set up and deploy the infrastructure as per your service in Amazon EC2. Is it clear? Okay, it's a service which helps you to deploy any number of servers you want in Amazon. For example, see, when I say the word servers, is same for all of us? No, right? When I say the word servers, it is always not same for all of us. It can be different. It can be completely different, right? For example, my requirement can be different. Your configuration requirement can be different. So I can launch any type of servers in any configuration I want, and I can always connect them with the help of networking. I can manage the storage and everything. See, here I have a point. I just want you to confuse a bit more. Then only you'll be able to understand this. See, you can use the service to launch any service and configure security, networking, and manage storage. So security devices, the networking part and everything is managed by cloud provider, right? Okay. For example, Amazon provides you the firewall, Amazon provides you the router, etc., right? But still, it is the way you configure things will make the security. Is it clear? That's it. So this service will help you to deploy servers for your requirement and configure connection between them. And this service itself will help you to configure the scaling as well. For example, when you deploy a server in Amazon EC2, I deploy a server in Amazon EC2. And once I deploy a server in Amazon EC2, if I want this to be scalable, for example, if I want this infra to be increasing and decreasing as per my requirements, okay, then I can use a service called as Amazon EC2. This service will help you to actually scale your infrastructure as per the requirements and the spikes in popularity, and that is why you don't have to forecast the traffic. Why? Because if there is something goes wrong, it will automatically scale. Is it clear? That's it. And they have this Windows and Linux servers only. Okay. And before I show you an example for that, I will tell you the common terminologies. See, in a server we have two parts, or in a laptop or server, whatever, we have two parts, right? A hardware part is there and a software part is there, right? So what all things are there in the hardware part, team? Tell me what all things are there in the hardware part? What all things you have in the hardware part of a server? Tell me, team. RAM is there, then CPU, memory, storage, network, etc. Right. Perfect. So, exactly. Hard disk is there. So, the hardware part of the server is called as instances in Amazon. That means that when I say the word instances, understand that it's a combination of a hardware. For example, some RAM, some storage, some network, some processing capability, and those kind of things are combined to form as instances. So from now on, I will say the word instances only. So instance means it is the hardware which we are using. Okay, instance is actually referred to as the hardware. Okay, for example, if I have a hardware combination, that is what we call as instances. Is it clear? The hardware part is called as instances. Instance is actually the combination of hardware which gives you the performance for which meets your requirement for a data processing. Instances. Is it clear? Fine. Okay. So, and one more thing is there. See, when I say the word instances, I told you the server hardware combination is different for each of us, right? For example, assume that I am running a MySQL server, which is a database thing, and a bank, which will take, okay, ICICI. This bank is also running MySQL, assume. So I am having this requirement. This bank is also having this requirement. But still, the hardware configuration required by me and this provider will be entirely different, right? Or why? Because for me, it is like, maybe daily maximum 100 transactions are there. At the same time, if I'm using an account or if I am using a bank, or if it is for a bank account, definitely you can have millions of transactions, right, per day. So we have different instance types, which we say as the hardware combinations for meeting different use cases. And of course, like for some cases, it can be, it can be very easy. For example, for some cases, if I say for example, if I say for this one, for normal purposes, we can have a combination. We can have a decent equal combination of RAM, storage, etc. But for some requirements, we need more memory. For some requirements, we need more processing capability. For some requirements, we need more performance. So based on this, we can choose different instance types. Is it clear, team? That's what we call as instances. And that is the hardware part. And now what we are left with? We are left with software part. So, team, for a computer to work, what is the first software which it must have? For a computer to work, what is the first software? Yeah, it requires an operating system, right? That is the first thing. Even if you are not using the operating system, you are using the application software, but still you need an operating system first, right? So in that case, as I told you, there is a word called as AMI. The software part is called as AMI. The software part is called as AMI. That means that AMI can be the operating system only. AMI can be the operating system only. For example, Windows Server or Linux Server or anything like that. So AMI can be an operating system only, or can be a combination of an operating system plus an application software pre-installed. For example, Windows Server plus 2000 server, Windows Server plus MySQL Server or Windows Server plus SQL Server is a combination, or you can have Windows Server only. So here I'll tell you a doubt. See, what is the best one? Is it better to use Windows Server only, or is it used? So I want to use my SQL Server. My requirement is I want to use SQL Server. Is it better to use a AMI which is having Windows Server plus SQL Server pre-installed, or I take AMI of Windows Server and later on I install SQL Server? Which is better? Is it better thing? Is it better to take an AMI which contains the SQL Server also, or is it better I will install it manually once I create a server? Which is better? Others? See, exactly. It's always depends on your need. For example, I'll give an example. Anyone working with SCCM? Anyone here in this team working with SCCM? Systems and Configuration Manager? Okay, yes, Prasan. Okay. So, Prasan, do we have to customize the SQL Server while we install the SCCM, or will it work directly? No, right? We have to customize, right? We have to customize, right? For example, if I want to configure a SCCM, I have to configure the SCCM customized, right? So in that case, what if I take the predefined combination? That means Windows Server plus SQL pre-installed. If I take that, what will happen? Sometimes it may work or may not. Why? Because when you take an AMI which is having application also pre-installed, that is installed with the default options. But if you want to customize everything from the scratch, you can take the AMI with OS only, and later on you can install the application as per the requirements. Is it clear? That's it. So AMI is actually can be an operating system or can be a combination of the application plus the operating system. Is it clear? That's the best thing. Okay. And of course, one thing is there. You basically, when you log into a server, I'll just show you an example here, just a demo I'm showing. Okay. Assume that I have a server here. This is my server. This is my server. It can be my Windows server, Linux server. So this is my laptop, and I am trying to log into this Windows server via internet to this computer. So what will they ask me? They'll ask me their username and password, right? Username and password they will ask, right? So if they ask me the username and password, the problem is, if they ask me the username and password, the problem is, it can be easily hacked, right? It can be easily hacked, or it can be easily compromised. So that is why we use something called as a key pair authentication. Have you heard of this key pair authentication? Key pair authentication. In Linux and Windows servers, you have this key pair authentication, right? See, key pair means you have two keys. One is public key, and the other one is private key. So the difference is, this public key will be stored in the server which you log in, and the private key will be with the person who is trying to log into the server. So only if when this private key is authenticated to this public key, then only we will get access to this server. Is it clear? That's what we call as key pair authentication. That's also there in Amazon. And we have different types of storage which we will discuss later. So I'll do one thing. I'll just show you this in an example. I'll show you how to create an instance. Okay? And if you have doubts in between, you can ask. So, and they have revised the console yesterday. Yesterday morning, they have revised the EC2 console. This is the new console they have. I go to the service, I take EC2. Okay, I take EC2 now. Yeah, we use a RSA token. We use RSA keygen. Okay, that's what it called. Exactly. So I'll take the services. I'll take EC2, and in that I can click on instances. Just wait a little open. So I click on launch an instance. I click on launch instance. So the first thing, see, one more thing is that thing. See, before I teach you this, when you design an infrastructure, just think and say, okay, when you define an infrastructure, what is the first thing you will configure? A hardware part or software part? What is the first thing you will design? The hardware part or software part? Are you sure? Others? When I am designing an infrastructure, what is the one which I'll discuss? Well, I'll just do first. Design the hardware part or software part? Oh no, first. Which one is first? Others? Think and say. Okay, you design the hardware part first, then you are thinking of the software. Then what happens is, for example, if I want to have a big data application, or if I want to have an application which is actually having more and more requirements. So if I design the hardware part first, they will not meet the requirement, right? So I design the hardware based on my software requirements. That's clear. So for example, if I say I want to run an SQL server for this purpose. So for running an SQL server for this purpose, I use this hardware. So what we design first is the software. We design the software part first. No. Yeah, we design the software part first. It's not the hardware. See why? Because I told you, right? First of all, we'll consider software requirements or application requirements. Based on that, we only define the hardware, right? Is it clear, Saravana?
Yes, Mita, actually we misunderstood the question.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. That's it. Just a second. Okay. So, yeah, fine. Okay. So, in this case also, when I click on launch instance, you can see the different AMIs is there. See, as I'll give you an example. See this is an AMI of Windows Server 2019. Okay. So it is having Windows Server 2019 image only. But when I scroll down, you can see this Windows Server plus SQL pre-installed. That means this will be having SQL pre-installed. I can choose anyone I want. I have some hundreds of AMIs for each and every requirement. So currently I am choosing Windows Server 2019. Okay, I'll select Windows Server 2019. I select that. So as I told you, based on the hardware, I can choose the software. I have a lot of software or hardware combinations. You can see it here. See this in the just give an example here. See in this type you have a instance which is called as M5AD Labs. That's the name. Okay, it is having 8-core CPU. It's having 8-core CPU. It's having 32 GB of RAM. It's having 300 GB storage, and it can give you a performance up to 10 Gbps speed. Is it clear? So likewise, if I scroll down, I can see that. See, I have an instance, or I have a hardware combination which is having a 96-core CPU, which is having 768 GB of RAM and 904 SSD. So like this, I have different instances for different use cases. But why this is actually grayed out here? Can you tell me, team, why these are actually grayed out here? Can I say it? Why this is grayed out? Why I'm not able to select this? Anyone? Some instances are not available, right? Why? Why? Because for this AMI I choose, right? I choose this one, right? For this I chose, that is not valid. That's why. So currently I am choosing an AMI called as T2 Micro, which is having a single core CPU and 1 GB RAM. I select that. It's a hardware combination. I click on next. I have a network part here. I can configure the network part. If you are good in VPC, you can configure the network part. Currently I'll keep it default. I click on next. I can add the storage I want. I have different types of storage. You can see it here. We have SSD, we have hard disk. So I am selecting SSD, which is 30 GB size now. You can make it up to 16 TB for a single volume. Likewise, you can add multiple volumes. Okay. So I'm taking a 30 GB storage now. I click on next. See, there's something called as a tag. Tag means a name. Okay, just the name like that. Those kind of things which is used to identify the name instance. Okay. Click on that. So, team, tell me what is a firewall? Anyone can tell me what is a firewall? What is a firewall, team? Firewall. What is the purpose of a firewall, team? Okay. Okay. For example, in your laptop, you assume that you have a firewall. You plugged in a pen drive. Will that firewall will detect the virus? I have some serious malware in this pen drive. I plug it in. Yes, will detect? No, right? Why? Because this firewall is actually used to monitor and protect your network traffic, right? It's actually used to monitor and protect your network traffic. For example, those packets which is incoming and outgoing through your network connection will be filtered. Is it clear? So that is why we say these firewalls are actually, so for every instance you create, you have a secure firewall configuration which is given to you by Amazon. That is what we call as security groups. So security groups are the firewall configuration which is defined for an instance. Don't confuse this with the OS firewall. That is a different thing. When you create an instance, you will be having a layer of firewall around the instance which can filter the traffic. For example, why I am giving this RDP allowed now? So I am allowing this RDP to my instance now. Why? Because the Windows instance, right? You have to configure the instance remotely, right? So you have to use RDP. So what if it was a Linux instance? What if it was a Linux instance? Will I use RDP or any other protocol to log in remotely? Which protocol can I use? Exactly, it can be SSH like that. Okay, basically I use SSH. So now I click on next, launch. So they will ask you for a key pair. Key pair means you have to create a key pair. This key pair will help you to, I'll just give a name, to have a authentication with the private key and public key. So when I create a key pair, I'll just create a key pair called as KP training. So what happens is this particular key pair called as KP training, the private key file will be downloaded to my computer and the public key file will be inside the instance. Only if I authenticate with the public key and private key, I'll be able to access the instance. Okay. I click on download key pair. I click on save. Now I click on launch instance. So not like the normal servers the company launch. This can be actually starting up within 4 to 5 minutes itself. See, this instance you created will be starting up within 4 to 5 minutes. Why? Because this instance is deployed in Amazon and you can deploy any hardware configuration you want. So by the time it is getting deployed, team, do you have doubts in this till now? Any doubts in this till now, team? Any doubts? Anything? Others? Anything? Any doubts? Any queries? Anything? It will take some 4 to 5 minutes to deploy. Tell me if you have doubts. Anything is okay. Okay. And how many of you are planning for an AWS certification? Any of you planning for an AWS certification, team? Which one? Okay. Yes or no? What's the dilemma? Yeah. Okay. See, I am giving you just an overview only, but still, one thing you have to keep in mind is, see, taking the certification is only one factor. Okay, taking the certification is different. I'll tell you how to prepare for a certification, but still, getting the skill is what important. You have to do all the use cases. See, for example, if I say one person asks me how to do this, it is a use case you have to learn. It's not about learning the theory things. I want my students as well. I tell them to always learn from the scratch. For example, you must be hands-on in almost all the use cases you can have in a particular technology. That's a key part. Learn your maximum. Okay. So, I got a question. Does a key pair make it like a private cloud instance? Exactly. See, Why I am telling you there's a private cloud? I told you Amazon is a private cloud, right? Why it is like that? When you click on launch in this, right? You click on AMI, right? You select a snapshot. Sorry, you select a instance type, and then you go next. Can you see this? You're inside something called as a VPC. This VPC you have will make you completely secure or isolated from all the other tenants in your AWS cloud platform in this particular region. Is it clear? So it is like a private cloud instance. Or this server we can say it as a VPS, virtual private server. Is it clear? Okay, fine, perfect. So that's it. So now it is actually running state, but still it is actually initializing. Initializing means the monitoring is starting. That's why. Let me see if I can get the password. Yeah, it's active now. So currently, if I want to log in, first of all, I'll open RDP. So to open RDP, what I will type is I'll type MSTSC. Okay. So you get a remote desktop window here. So this remote desktop window, you can always copy your IP address. See, for the instance, there will be a public IP address here. You can just copy it. You can paste it here. Yes, I am doing it with local only. My system I am doing. My local system I am doing. I just open remote desktop. I just copy and paste the IP of the remote server which is being deployed. I click on connect. So they will ask you for a username. Steve, what is the default username for Windows? What is the default root username for Windows? Anyone? What is the default supreme user for Windows? Yeah, administrator, exactly. The username is administrator. So now we need a password. But for a password, we can drag it to instance. You can click on get Windows password. You can show the key pair. The key pair is downloaded, right? I'll just download the key pair. Yeah, see this, you can see my key pair. I click on this. I click on decrypt password. I copy this password. This is the password. Copy this. Then I'll paste it here. I click on OK. They'll ask you if the connection is yes. Click on yes. It is trusted. See, now you have logged into a cloud server. See, just 2 minutes. You simply started a cloud server. You are able to set up a server which you want in your configuration which you want without any hassle, and you are able to connect to it without any kind of issues. Is it clear? Very easy, right? You are able to connect to it. You are able to access. See, now you are in the remote Windows server you have created. Is it clear? That's it. That is why this cloud platform is that much simple. And you can always make sure, always you can actually configure it as per your requirements. Like, for example, as the one person asked me, how can I configure some application? It's very simple. You can download applications here. You can work with here. You can make it secure. You can actually restrict the access, everything. Is it clear? That's it. So this is how you deploy an instance in Amazon. Which console? Yeah, definitely you can access. You can definitely access. There is no trouble. You can access always. No problem with that. Is it clear, team? That's it. This is the basics of EC2. Okay. We have in EC2 actually these topics are actually a very huge one. No, not exactly. You can have OS independent. No, not like them. Actually, you can like Linux you can use or Windows you can use. And for example, you can use this firewall. Cisco is there, Juniper is there. Any providers you can use. You have a lot of OS in this marketplace. You can use any OS you want. And okay, so yeah, you can use it without RDP. But still, you have defined some custom other protocols. But basically, for Windows servers, we use this via RDP only. We have different other protocols, but basically for this, we'll use RDP. Okay. And of course, in the Windows thing, that's why RDP is a standard. For Windows, RDP we use basically, right? That's why. We can use other custom protocols if you have any also. Yeah, okay. That's a question. For organizations, do we use only one workstation? Not exactly. It can have only one workstation or not, but it basically you have to make sure the key pair is secure. That's the only problem. Because why? Because if you lose the key pair, you'll not be able to log into the instance again. So you have to make sure the instance is safe. That's why. Is it clear? That's it. Okay. So if you want to remove it, it's very easy. Just right click the instance, instance state, terminate. The instance will be completely removed. Is it clear? That's it. And of course, team, you have different storage options in Amazon. The most commonly used storage in Amazon is called as Amazon S3. This is the one. See, team, what is the difference between your local hard disk and Google Drive? Anyone? What is the difference between your local hard disk and Google Drive, team? Anyone? What is the difference between Google? Okay, cloud storage. Is that the only difference? Then any other difference? Okay. See, a cloud storage is actually an object storage, right? That means that you can read whenever you want, you can copy, download the files, upload the files, etc. But those kind of modifications, the write operations are not easy, right? For example, if you want to modify something, you have to modify something from your laptop or something, and you have to upload it, right? At the same time, your local hard disk you can always make modifications on that hard disk storage itself, and it's completely block storage. That means that you can copy the files whenever you want, you can edit the files, you can modify the files, you can do a lot of operations. So this storage, this storage you see here, right? This storage you see here, right? This is actually a block or an object storage like like Google Drive. You can upload the files anywhere you want. So I'll just click on. So for example, if I say if I am uploading a Word file or Excel file or audio file or video file, whatever it is, if I am uploading a file to Amazon S3, this is the service called as Amazon S3. If I upload a file called as a file onto this Amazon S3, the advantage is all the files you store in Amazon S3 is called as objects. Don't forget, all the files you store in Amazon S3 is called as objects. Object. For example, if I say if I am copying a log file, a database file, or anything, if I copy a file to Amazon S3, it is called an object. And there is no minimum size and there is no size limitation for Amazon S3 except for one thing. See, for a single object, the size can be up to maximum 16 TB. For a single object, the size can be up to maximum 16 TB. Likewise, you can add millions of objects. Okay, you can have millions of objects, and for each object, the maximum size can be 16 TB. Is it clear? Yeah, the storage is separate. It's a complete separate thing. Okay, it's a complete separate thing. It's not based on EC2. But still, for EC2, for example, if I am creating an EC2 instance, for that we have a storage called as EBS. For EC2, we have a storage called as EBS. But now this S3 is a completely different service. Okay, I'll give you a use case for this. Have you seen some companies like most companies? What they do is they have a website in front end, and if the website want to serve some pictures or media or something like that, everything is stored in this Amazon S3. So S3 can be a source for different websites, web pages, etc. if they want. Is it clear? So till now is it clear, team? So S3 is there, and one more thing I want to add it to you. I'm just giving you an overview of this. In this service, I'll just all the files you store in Amazon S3 is called as objects, and all the objects you store in Amazon S3, you cannot store an object inside directly to Amazon S3. So can you store a file in your computer without a drive, team? Can you store a file in your computer without a drive like C or D drive? Can you store a file in your computer without this drive letters? No, right? Likewise, if you want to store something in Amazon S3, you must create inside a bucket. There must be a concept called as bucket. You can compare this bucket to this drives you can use. Example, you can just compare. So you can create a bucket, and inside the buckets you can always create or you can always put objects. Is it clear? Yeah, it can be like a partition. It can be set as a partition if you want. That means that you can put any objects, but you must put the objects inside a bucket only. And there is one more problem is there. The bucket name is unique worldwide. For example, if I create a bucket here called as InfosecTrain, that bucket name cannot be used by anybody else in the world, even in the different region as well. So bucket names are unique worldwide. Don't forget, bucket names are unique worldwide. For example, if I create a bucket name, I'll not be able, nobody in the Amazon account will be able to create the same bucket name unless I delete it. Is it clear? That's it. Is it clear, team? That's the basics. Any other doubts, team? Till now, any other doubts we have? Any doubts in this? Any doubts, anything? Yeah, you can have n number of objects in a single bucket. And for example, one more thing is there, George. For example, when you copy some objects to a bucket, that particular objects, each object can be addressed uniquely with the URL. Okay. And yeah, of course, EC instances have a local storage which is called as EBS, Elastic Block Store. EC instances have a local storage which is called as EBS. Is it clear, team? That's it. Okay. See, EBS is a block storage like your normal internal hard disk or those SAN storage, etc. But S3 is like your Google Drive, object storage. This is a block. EBS is a block storage. S3 is object storage. Is it clear? That's it. So that's about it. So now before I just conclude and all, let me show you the features of the certifications of this. Okay, I'll just walk you through the certification just to make you clear on this. All customer VMs, never. All the customer VMs can be stored in a bucket. No. See, VMs are actually inside the Amazon storage only. We cannot say it as separate things. It is addressed separately in the Amazon premises. Okay. S3 is a different concept. You cannot store this Amazon. Basically, you cannot store those VMs inside the S3. You can store it, but in a different way. We call it snapshots. No, we don't have access to Amazon files. We can see them as instances. We can start them. We can store them when you want. Is it clear? That's it. So now, before I conclude, I'll just give you an idea of certifications. See, most people, they ask me which certification you want to take or how can I start a career in Amazon or those kind of things. See, basically in this, I'll tell you that previously, if you want to take a certification, this is like the way they start actually. I'll tell you. See, previously, if you want to take a certification, first of all, you have to take any associate certification. Then once you pass the associate certification, you have to go to the professional certification. And once you pass the professional, you can go for specialty. But now, you can write any exam directly without any kind of prerequisite. For example, if you want to write security specialty, or if you want to write professional, or if you want to write associate, any certification, you can write directly without any kind of requisite knowledge. Okay. Any doubts till now, team? Any doubts you have till now? Anything?
Smita, what about the job roles will be? Will it be like the conventional as we have today? For network, we have different teams.
Sure,
for storage, we have different teams.
Yeah, okay. And Sarona, my name is Krishna. Okay, Krish. Okay, fine. Yeah, okay.
Sorry, Krish.
Yeah. You were asking about the different options, right?
What are the job roles? So we have a separate network team, separate storage team.
Yeah, that's a very
relational data center and the.
Yeah, that's one thing which I want to understand for everyone in this group. See, when you move to cloud, previously I'm working this cloud from 2010 onwards. I have some 14 plus years of experience. So in the experience I'm seeing, when I started this cloud, you have only one role. Okay, cloud administrator or cloud architect or those kind of things. But after all these years, now as all the companies are moving to cloud, see, when you start a company, just assume that I'm starting a company. So when I start a company, I have the office boy and the manager and the technical person, and everybody will be me only. The same time, as my company grows, the job roles will get divided, right, to different people. Likewise, as Amazon is actually adopted by a lot of companies now, a lot of people are using Amazon AWS cloud platform. So we have some 100+ job roles for this Amazon. For example, you can have an AWS cloud solutions AWS architect who designs the solutions for cloud companies and all. And you can be a system administrator. You can actually manage the infrastructure with the operations and all. And you can be a developer, which can give you option to manage or you can be a developer, which will help you to deploy or run your applications or test your applications, or maybe manage the development CI/CD process, etc. in the cloud. And or you can specialize in the cloud security. You can specialize in networking specialty. So like that, you have a lot of specialties as well. You have hundreds of job roles now in cloud platform. For example, cloud administrator, cloud architect, cloud security specialist, cloud database administrator, cloud operations administrator, cloud integrator, cloud broker. Likewise, you have n number of roles nowadays.
So Krish, see, can you give an abstract domain? So in infrastructure part.
Basically, see, if you want to start with infrastructure, the two things you can suggest is this one and this one. See, why I am not going through this foundation is, foundation certification is a very basic certification. Will just tell you what the cloud is, what are the billing options, what are the features. That's all. That is why I don't suggest the certification. I suggest you start with the AWS Certified Solutions Architect Associate or the System Administrator. Both are almost the same in your study, but this can give you a lot more job options. In my concept, this can give you a little more job options. Okay. See, both things you will study how to deploy something in cloud. You will study in depth about EC2, S3 and everything you will study. But for infrastructure people, you can choose any one of this. And once you finish the certification, once you finish this AWS certification, I suggest instead of going to professional, you can specialize on some kind of specialty certifications. For example, what I done is, in my career, I'm actually an operations and architect security guy. So I started with this architect associate, then I went to architect professional that time, and then I went to this security specialty. Okay.
So Chris, see, now, yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
No, sorry, please complete.
Go on. It's okay.
I'll come back. So Chris, okay, let me take the turn. So nowadays we have some vendor neutral certifications for security from IAC Square.
Okay.
So should we take the so will it be a vendor lock, right? So if we take the certification from vendor neutral bodies, still we can apply the process here also, right? Why should we take the explicitly should take the vendor course?
Yeah, that's a brilliant question. See, you can take certifications like CCSP, like from IAC Square, or CCSK, or this AWS, or this Azure. Of course, the CCSP and CCSK is completely vendor neutral. But the CCSP and CCSK you're planning is completely a cloud security governance thing. Okay. For example, in the AWS, Azure, those kind of things, what you will do is you will study how to do that. For example, if I say, okay, in CCSP you will study, this is how data security is implemented on cloud. This is how this is implemented on all these things. You will understand the theoretic perspective, your governance perspective. But at the same time, in this AWS course, Azure course, Google course and all, you will learn how that is implemented in the real time and practical in this cloud platform. Is it clear?
Okay, so that is like a high level, it is like low level, right?
Yeah, but still, no, this is actually governance level. For example, if I say the CCSP is a person who is actually responsible for understanding the risk or understanding the corporate process or adopting or based on the business design things and all. And the operation and the technical person is who actually implement that. That's clear.
Okay. Yes.
Others, go on.
Last, only one thing, man. Yeah. See, what actually right now I'm in networking, routing and switching. Okay. So I want to move into security.
Okay.
Is that networking is relevant to security or it's completely different? Some comments on that. That's my last question.
Definitely. No. This question, yesterday also I got this question. Networking is completely relevant for the security. Why? Because if you want to, team, please, you might can use. Please keep your mics on your team. And there is some noise. Requesting you to please keep your mics on mute. Okay. So, team, one more thing is there. See, if you're having networking background, I always suggest you start with this AWS Certified Solutions Architect Associate. Why? Because if you start with this AWS Certified Solutions Architect, you will learn almost all the services from the operations level. Then if you go to security specialty, it can be easy for you. Otherwise, it can be, because in security specialty, we are not covering anything from the scratch only, right? But here we are covering everything from the scratch. So once you take this, or once you get skilled on this, and then if I go to this, it can be really helpful for you. And
so firewall comes in which part? Whether will it come in a networking part or will it come in security part? Firewall.
Firewall. Yeah, firewall comes in.
See, why I'm asking is, see, before network data and network security were had a different job roles. Now the market is expecting combined skills, right?
The firewall is actually coming inside the security role mostly. Because even if you say otherwise, the networking, the firewall is always coming inside this networking role only. The security role only. Is it clear?
Okay. Okay. Yes, man. Yes, it's clear.
Yeah, somebody else is also just okay. And team, before you leave, one more thing is that team, before you leave, please don't leave now. Just please fill out this form about the review of the webinar. If you feel it's okay, just fill out this form. Okay. I request you to fill this form before you leave. Okay. That's it. Any other doubts?
Yeah, Krish. So with the Amazon and everything, we are talking about the infrastructure shifting from on-premises to the cloud.
Okay.
So even though we will do the certification, where do you think it will be applicable? Means all will be working in Amazon?
Not like that. I see. Me also, when I say this, I don't suggest anybody working. For example, you go to a company, you will see a cocktail actually. It can have a Amazon as well, Azure as well, Google as well. So once you learn Amazon, for example, you learn Amazon, you learn how it is implemented on Amazon. The same way you can self-learn Azure and Google if you want. Is it clear?
Okay. No, basically the question is basically what I can see it is associate and professional, because Amazon I joined in between the the webinar, so maybe my question is from that point of view. But from the customer point of view, there will be one person who will be deploying the VM into the Amazon.
Okay.
Correct? From the customer or the client point of view. But ultimately the infrastructure get managed at a back end at the Amazon level.
Okay.
So in that case, even though we will go for the, as you rightly mentioned, the associate and professional, when it comes to the solution architect, maybe it will be helpful for the client who are having the big infrastructure and they are using cloud as a infrastructure as a service.
Okay.
Correct, right? So in that case,
basically, basically, even if your customer is actually, or even if you're running a company, or if you have a customer for AWS, it's actually not only the IaaS. For example, everything is about the business continuity. For example, if I say I want to run an application, the cloud architect is which is responsible for choosing which application or which type of service to choose, and how can you implement that in a cost-effective way? How can you implement it in a perfect security way, and how to make it secure? Those kind of things. And also, for example, if I say I have bulk data for storage, so how can I store the data in a cloud platform, and how can I manage the data, or how can I make the data to a cost-effective level, which is actually based on compliance and regulatory requirements? So the cloud architect or the cloud administrator or these kind of roles have a lot of demand nowadays. Why? Because all those things which is done by the company in the perspective of the infrastructure and the applications and the storage and those kind of things can be managed by a cloud provider, and which can relieve you from a lot of things like the initial cost, like the capital expense, that can relieve you from the security considerations, lot of things. For example, in your premises, you have to implement the firewall, you have to implement a lot of things like that. At the same time, if you use a cloud provider, everything is already predefined, and the cloud provider will help you all that. Is it clear?
Yeah, And the speciality of this certification, because recently we saw Prab also, he cleared the AWS security.
Yeah, that is the one I'm taking mostly. Yeah.
Correct. So within that particular part, where it will be applicable, means again from the client point of view, or maybe the guy who is working in Wipro, HCL, giving the solutions to the customers.
Both actually. For example, I'll just give an example there. For example, you told me you want to implement something on cloud, or if you currently have an infra in cloud. So how to make it secure, how to make it less vulnerable, how to utilize the AWS services effectively to make it secure. What are the areas you can implement to take complete control of the security? And for example, if I say there is a security breach happened, so how can you manage this breach? Or for example, if there is any issue with the, or you are trying to do something and you have a bottleneck there, this can be due to security. So how can you mitigate that? How can you manage that? Those kind of things you can learn. How to enable monitoring securely, how to enable logging securely, how to get control of the infrastructure. All these kind of things you will learn the security specialty. That's why he also took that. It's actually very much demanded now.
No, the security one you are saying.
Exactly.
Okay, and what about in advanced networking? What it covers basically into the advanced networking means?
It is actually focusing on the connectivity. That means that you have connectivity things. It's actually focusing on the connectivity. But for example, this VPN, VPC, how to manage the network bandwidth considerations, those kind of things.
Okay.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. So,
but the job opportunities you can see more basically with this specialty of the certification and the professional level.
Is why we don't have much security specialty experts. That's why nowadays the certification is more in demand. Even also next month I'm applying a batch. A lot of people are actually inquiring about it. Why? Because this is actually getting in demand now. See, when the cloud started, there is no role like this. But now this role is coming in hot. That's why.
Okay. And we can directly go for this certification without having the foundation, associate and professional, as you said.
Yeah, but still you must have the knowledge. For that, you can have the knowledge. That's enough. Okay, fine.
Okay.
So that's the team.
Thanks a lot, Krish. Session was really good and informative, and really, it spoke about your real experience in terms of presenting. Yeah, it was really good.
Thank you so much. And team, please make sure you fill this form also. Please make sure you fill this feedback form just to make sure that if this session was good or not. Please make sure you fill this form. I got it. I think everyone got it, right? The last one I pasted. Got it?
Yeah, it was working. Yes.
Yeah, thank you team. Others also please use this form, okay?
Thank you.
Yeah. Fine. Thank you team. Bye. Please copy this. Copy this link, please. Yeah. Please copy this link.
Yes.
It's okay, Brajesh. I think you can talk to the team. Actually, I think they will share the recording. Actually, no problem. Please use this URL. Okay. Please use URL to share. Okay. Thank you. You can use this URL to share. I think they will actually give you the session. Okay. Or recording. I think. Not sure. Just verify. Okay. Fine. Thank you, team.
Okay. No issue.